Hi, my name is Margot Kelly Hedrick, and I'm one of the 2022 to 2023 Fagan Leadership Scholars, a year-long program in healthcare leadership. Each year, small groups of scholars complete a project. Our group focused on exploring patient stories. We chose to focus on one extraordinary family and their journey in the healthcare system. While this story takes place in the neonatal ICU, we feel it has relevance to healthcare providers and patients in all areas of medicine. We invite you to learn more about the Fagan Leadership Program and reflect on how this story relates to leadership at faganleadership.org. Thanks for watching.
We're the Parrish family, Adam Parrish and Caitlin Parrish. We live in Clayton, North Carolina.
In 2020, me and my husband did around IVF. It was unsuccessful. And then 2021, we went back. We did another round, which was successful. And we ended up with 6 embryos. 2 weeks later, we found out that we were pregnant.
Yep.
And so we went in for an ultrasound and found out we were pregnant with twins. We went back in for another ultrasound, and then we were told we were going to have mono twins, which is they share one placenta and one amniotic sac. So we had like a huge risk for them to get tangled in utero. And we actually were asked at my 13-week appointment if we wanted to end our pregnancy, because they said most people at this point, they just end it, like it doesn't go well. We said absolutely not, like we're moving forward, because the babies looked good at that point. So we were actually doing our maternity pictures.
Yep.
And I remember we were up in the mountains. I bent down. I couldn't get up because my legs were swollen up past my knees. Then we went back in, I think a few days later, and they checked my blood pressure. It was pretty high. They checked it like 4 or 5 times. Yep. So they sent us to the hospital. And from then on, it was such a whirlwind. I think the fetal heart rate monitor was on, and like both of the girls' heart rates were dropping into the 70s. So they took me for an emergency C-section at like 4 a.m. We didn't know anything they were saying. It was like it was in a different language.
Yeah.
It was a lot of information in like a 30-minute span, and we had no idea what the NICU was.
No.
At all. My C-section went good. They took the girls straight to the NICU. Adam saw them. Yep. And I couldn't see him for like 2 days. That's kind of when our NICU journey started, was November 3rd, 2021. And I think for the first week, they did pretty well. Yeah. Or good enough to be 24 weekers. Yeah. They said they were like a pretty good size. Avery was 1 pound and 2 ounces, and Addison was 1 pound and 5 ounces. They were both 12 inches long, and they were doing pretty well. And then I'll never forget, 2 weeks after they were born, I was sitting in my living room drinking my coffee that morning, and one of the doctors called me from the NICU.
And I got a call, and she said both the girls were having emergency surgery. So, I hightailed it to the hospital.
We knew it was bad, but we didn't really know what all that entailed. We got up there, I think Addie had surgery first, and we didn't know at that point that Avery, 5 or 6 hours later, her bowel ruptured. So on the same day, they both had this horrible issue. Addie was in recovery. We were sitting by her bed. If you want to finish.
Yeah, while we were sitting beside Addison's incubator, the code bell went off at the NICU, and it was like this feeling that you just knew it was your child. And sure enough, one of the doctors came and got us and said that Avery was coding, and so we rushed in there. There were a bunch of doctors around to give her chest compressions, and unfortunately, they weren't able to do anything to save Avery. So that's when she passed away that night.
I can still remember, I can see the room in my head. Right now, I remember you were hugging me because I was having a panic attack in there. I remember I can still see the monitor and all these people. There's 20 people in there. And I remember she had went to cardiac arrest 2 or 3 times, and being in healthcare, at a pound and 2 ounces, I knew things weren't good.
They stopped giving chest compressions, and that's when they announced that she had passed away. Toughest night of our lives, but we were fortunate enough that we still had another child there, because we know there's families that lose a child and they have to go home to an empty house and start over again.
It was just like go. Like we never got to really grieve her, because we were so focused on, we were like, we have this other daughter who was still so critical, and was still so sick, and they didn't know why she was still so sick. It was my 30th birthday on December 16th. She got super sick again, and we had a different surgeon that night, and we were like, okay, like maybe this is what we needed, a different surgeon, like different set of eyes. And nobody wanted to do the surgery because she was so small, and it was her 4th surgery. And I remember one of our doctors from the NICU, we didn't know this at the time, then we found out after, he told the surgeon, he was like, you have to do surgery on this child. He was like, she will make it. He was like, these parents need this child, like, please do the surgery. And they did it.
And they did it, and after a 3-hour surgery, they found the bowel tear. And it was, months of waiting where Addison couldn't eat. She was just laying there, just looking so sick. And we just had no idea if, that day we go home, we get a call that it was going to be the same thing as Avery, that, she went into cardiac arrest, and, she still had her complications of things. But it seemed like the path got a little easier.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I think New Year's Eve, we got a call. She was in cardiac arrest. We got up there and they were like, she's gonna be really out of it. Like, don't be surprised if she doesn't open her eyes. Like, she's not responsive. And then we walked in there and said, hey to her, and she opened her eyes. And then really from there, I think is when things started to look up. We started being able to do like the fun stuff in the NICU, I guess. So it wasn't so anxiety ridden anymore. Once we had figured out her issue, she had started growing, gaining weight. After we left the NICU, our journey didn't really stop. It got a little harder, because she ended up having really extensive eye issues. But she has adjusted so well, you really wouldn't know unless you knew that she had vision issues. She's like the happiest baby ever. She's always playing, like smiling, laughing. So I think the vision thing will just be something that we take as it comes. So I think at first it was intimidating, maybe. Going into the NICU, we didn't know anybody, obviously. And it's hard to trust people that you don't know with your child and with their care. Like, obviously they were highly qualified, but for them to like know what was best for your kid is just a tough spot to be in. But over time, we developed so many awesome relationships with doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, physical therapists, everybody in there. I just never knew that people, in healthcare could be that compassionate. Like, they treated me and Adam like family. And they really, at some point, I think, valued our opinion, because, they were like, y'all know her best. Like,
it was unbelievable to watch, especially me, not having a lot of, medical knowledge, just sitting back and watching, hey mom, what do you think about this? Hey mom, what do you think about this? And it was amazing.
We still see like some of those people outside of here, talk to them, and
like I was saying earlier, there was a doctor that just be involved really close with, and there was a part where Addison was really critical, and we had pulled 3 or 4 all-nighters, and he put his hands on my shoulders and said, you need to go get some sleep. You can't care for her, if you're tired and you're not here.
They really were there to make sure that like not only was Addison taken care of, but like we were taken care of too, because they became family. Like, that's who we hung out with for 9 months. So like the journey is not over once you come home. It's almost harder because it's on you as her parents to make sure she's healthy, make sure she's getting the care she needs, make sure she's getting caught up. So we have done everything and more, I feel like, to get her on the right track.